Tonight on West Dakota Fox News at 9, thousands flee as a Hawaiian volcano spits lava into residential neighborhoods. Why scientists say this is only the beginning. Plus, good news for oil as the market enjoys a new price barrel milestone. But first, after 2 decades, the Wells County Sheriff's Office is making some major changes.
This is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. Well, it's 20 years in the making. The Wells County Sheriff's Department is undergoing a long-awaited location change, and with it comes some big upgrades. Reporter Daniela Hurtado shows us the hope for the new space.
Wells County Sheriff Christopher Kluth continues to make changes to the department.
And I thought to myself, hey, this space ain't really even being used anymore. And there's a lot of space here. And plus, there's an old jail that hasn't been used for 30-some years.
He says the jail space will be used as holding cells, but they first need to add fire alarms.
Now I have an office for the receptionist, my chief deputy, a deputy, and me. Plus, I have an interview room that I've never had before.
Before, interviews had to be held inside the sheriff's office, but now with the flick of a light, they have a new room where they can hold interviews.
They say they're already up and running in the new area. He says this benefits the courthouse and the community.
We're going forward into the future. We're here. We're trying to make things more convenient for the public, to be more accessible.
Kluth says the move is like a clean slate for the department. For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Daniela Hurtado.
Kluth says they now have a lot more space in the department, adding he would ideally like to add one more deputy for the size of the county. Well, Henry, we had some moisture today, and it looks like there's more headed our way.
Yeah, most definitely.
New details tonight in the case of the Grand Forks woman, Astra Volk, found dead alongside the bodies of her 3 children. Police say she killed the children before turning the gun on herself. Police say all evidence gathered so far support this claim. A Bismarck man was arrested for allegedly threatening someone with a knife on Saturday. Police say 44-year-old Jason Chandler threatened to cut a 21-year-old male in a home on 3rd Street. Chandler was arrested for terrorizing and simple assault. Burleigh County Sheriff's deputies were taken on a wild ride this weekend. They say Saturday they began pursuing a car going 83 miles an hour in a 45 zone. The car then disappeared into a neighborhood. Deputies caught back up with the driver on West 43rd Street. That's when the driver managed to slip past law enforcement a second time. They eventually found who they say was the driver. The man was not arrested, but the case was taken to the state's attorney's office for charges. Well, good news for North Dakota. Oil prices have reached another milestone, climbing past the $70 a barrel for the first time in 4 years. Strong global demand and supply and cuts by OPEC and Russia are also pushing up prices. Analysis say oil prices in the United States have jumped by more than 16% since the beginning of the year. Over in Mandan, a teacher is being recognized for her outstanding work in the classroom. Kindergarten teacher Mary Kautzman says just received the Bismarck Mandan Chambers Elementary Teacher of the Year. She snagged the Crystal Apple after being in business for more than 30 years.
I told my students I'm going to display it here at Mary Stark because this is an award for all of them and the efforts that they have given me throughout the years.
Kautzman says she's thankful for her students and feels lucky to work alongside such great colleagues and children. An advisory board is convening this spring to narrow candidates for Sanford Health's inaugural Lorraine Cross Award. The Dakotas-based health system is giving a $1 million global medical research prize to honor achievements in medicine. The amount rivals that which goes to the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. The first award will be presented in December. Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway is considering replacing its bridge across the Missouri River. And a group in Burleigh County is trying to make sure the plan will keep the old bridge intact. Completed in 1822, the bridge has been in place 67 years longer than North Dakota has even been a state. The Friends of the Rail Bridge asked the Burleigh County Commission for a letter of support. The commission agreed.
It's a really important part of our sense of place. When I walk underneath that bridge, when I'm taking my dog for a walk along the Missouri River, I look up and it's been just an iconic image of Bismarck Mandan for a really long time.
Friends of the rail bridge say they do not know what the rail's decision will be, but they hope that the new bridge will be built far enough away to leave the old one in place. A McKenzie resident says his cattle are dying and his wife almost did too because of the deteriorating road to his house is poorly maintained. He aired his grievances tonight at the Burleigh County Commission meeting. Improvements to the problematic road have been on the docket for a decade. Jerry Zins says the road has hindered access and ambulances.
The question I got is, when is enough enough? How much more punishment do we need to live out there as citizens of Burleigh County?
The commission says most of the roadblocks standing in the way of repairs are because of red tape. The plan will cost the county around $7 million. In Minot, the YWCA is partnering with Over the Edge to bring a brand new event to western North Dakota. Members of the public will rappel down the 8-story Parker Center building to raise funds to support the region's only women's and children's homeless shelter. There is a $50 sign-up fee, and each potential participant must raise $1,000 before the event date on Saturday, August 25th.
We're really big into doing fundraisers that are non-traditional and that get people who may not already be involved in things like this to give and be involved in the community.
To find out more information how you can join in all the fun, you can visit the story on our website, yournewsleader.com. Well, it's been a rough spring for people with allergies, and doctors say it'll probably get worse before it gets better. Fox's Jody Goldberg explains why so many people are sneezing their way through May.
Budding trees and blooming flowers. What's there not to like about spring?
Watering eyes and the postnasal drip.
Allergies. According to the Centers for Disease Control, more than 50 million Americans experience them in some capacity each year. But doctors say this year in particular may be worse for seasonal sufferers.
Patients have had very little time to adjust from the harsh winter that we had into the spring and seemingly now summer that we have.
A colder than usual April delayed early pollen production. But now with warmer weather, trees are essentially making up for lost time by releasing massive amounts of pollen. While sneezing and sniffles are symptoms of the common cold and seasonal allergies, Dr. Gina Kosha says there are a few key differences between the two.
They generally feel very uncomfortable, but they're not necessarily debilitated. They don't have fever. They don't have other signs of infection, but they still feel very uncomfortable.
She says patients with allergies should take their medicine at the beginning of the season, but it's not too late to start because allergies can last through the fall.
Some patients are just sensitized to tree pollen, which is our springtime pollen, grass pollen, which is our summertime pollen, and weeds, which are the fall pollens.
Doctors say mornings are usually the worst time of day for pollen, so it's important to keep your windows closed, especially this time of year.
I recommend as soon as they come in the door after a long day, take your clothes off and put them in the washer machine. Make sure to take a shower before you go to bed at night.
Doctors recommend testing for anyone showing signs of allergies and may not have in the past. And consider yourself lucky if you just don't have them or grew out of them.
Had them when I was young, and this time of year would last a month, whatever. And then when I got to about 30, they went away.
Some sad news to share tonight. For years, he told television viewers in the upper Midwest that they could save big money. His family says Ray Sismata, known as the Menards guy, passed away Sunday at the age of 91. Still ahead, another day of devastation in Hawaii as an active volcano spreads its fiery tendrils through residential neighborhoods. Incredible new footage tonight of the devastating volcano erupting on Hawaii's Big Island. Officials are starting to get a sense of the damage caused by the lava and earthquakes. Meantime, thousands have evacuated as authorities warn the activity could go on for weeks or possibly longer. So far, 26 homes have been destroyed. Here's ground footage of one of those homes. You can see the cascading lava slowly swallowing the house. Around the yard, the lava is cooling into a shelf of rock a couple feet high. Residents of Leilani Estates, located on the eastern part of the island, have been ordered out of their homes. And here's a time-lapse video of that lava eating away at concrete before finally reaching a parked Ford Mustang and completely covering it in burning rock. In the end, the road is completely blocked by a telephone pole and it collapses. It's just a small glimpse of the destruction folks have been dealing with. We want to give you a close-up look from the mouth of this volcano. Helicopters got a bird's eye view of the spewing ash, but this eruption is a little bit different because the lava isn't just coming from the top. At least 10 fissure vents have opened up. The vents are pumping lava out from the ground. You can see the openings of those vents, which all go down a line, bubbling up in the middle of residential neighborhoods. Some admit they say they knew this day would eventually come, saying it's the downside to living in paradise. On the other side of the world, deadly airstrikes hit the presidential palace in the heart of Yemen. According to Yemeni rebel-run TV station, a Saudi-led coalition attacked and killed at least 6 people and left 30 others wounded. It's unclear if there were any leaders inside the presidential building at the time of the strike. In Indiana, a person is dead after a powered parachute crash. It happened Sunday in South Bend, Indiana. Police say the pilot was attempting to taxi before crashing into the garage door. The pilot, Laverne Miller, was 72 years old. And 2 people are dead after a plane crashes nose down in Michigan. This is video of the plane after the crash on Sanderson Field. Fire officials say it happened Sunday morning right after takeoff. Witnesses tell police the moment before the crash, they saw the plane go straight up, twist around, and then crash nose first into the ground. In health news, some big box retailers are taking steps to battle the nation's opioid crisis. Walmart and Sam's Club's pharmacies will no longer provide more than 7 days' supplies of medications to some customers. That rule goes into effect these next couple months. There'll also be a mandate medication top out at 50 morphine milligrams per day. Also on the health front, if your child doesn't get enough sleep, they may be more likely to become obese. Researchers reviewed more than 75,000 kids age 18 and younger who were followed for about 3 years. The ones who got less than the recommended amount of sleep for their age group gained more weight and were nearly 60% more likely to become obese. Findings appear in the journal Sleep. New findings suggest even a mild concussion may increase your risk for developing dementia down the road. Researchers looked at 350,000 military veterans. Some had traumatic brain injury, some experienced a concussion, and some did not. On average, about 4 years, those who had some form of head injury had more than double the risk of developing dementia compared to those without a head injury. Let's switch gears a little bit now. Henry, we had some rain today, which made for some very interesting looking skies.
Yeah, most definitely. We had I saw a rainbow south of the Memorial Bridge.
Welcome back. Recess is a time for students to burn off their energy, but that isn't an option for everyone. Reporter Maddie Jelseth went to Liberty Elementary School today to find out how they're making that time more inclusive.
Third grade students did projects to show ways to make this playground more accessible for students who have disabilities.
We're trying to get this because it's more easier so they can go on.
This is one project a third grade student worked on to show how students in wheelchairs can be active during recess.
There's some kids at our school have autism and there's not much here so they can play on here.
Which is why their class decided to fundraise for an inclusive playground.
As of now, the children have raised $5,000 in the last few weeks, and the PTO is matching that and they're doubling it, so they've got $15,000 so far.
Eli says they want to raise at least $20,000 to $30,000 to build an all-inclusive playground that has a Sensory Connect corner.
Stuff that kids in wheelchairs can just drive up to and play with.
Sensory equipment will be available during next school year, and that includes talk tubes, chimes, and drums.
A few students told me they're happy to raise money for these students who have disabilities so they don't have to sit out anymore. Reporting for West Dakota Fox is at 9. I'm Maddie Jelseth.
Americans' anxiety levels are on the rise, and one of the biggest sources is money, specifically whether or not we can pay our bills. That's according to the American Psychiatric Associations. They polled 1,000 adults about health, security, finance, relationships, politics, you name it, and they found that money was the biggest worry. Well, Henry, let's end on a positive note. Here's a sweet story out of Mississippi. A soldier was on his way home for the birth of his daughter, but his flight got delayed. So some passengers snapped some photos of him FaceTiming the birth. They said he was glued to his phone and couldn't stop crying.
Oh,
that's sweet.
Very.
Henry, I'm seeing some lightning on our sky cams here.
Yeah, south and east of the Bismarck-Mandan area as the line of thunderstorms continues to push east, impacting our viewers. As luck would have it, yeah, there it is. Hey, it happened. There we go. But those thunderstorms, thankfully, not severe, but they are impacting many of our viewers. Hey, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. Cold front Wednesday, cooler temperatures with highs in the 50s for Thursday and Friday.
All right, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Stay dry.